Ice Nine Kills recently retweeted a New York Post piece about a study that claimed horror movie fans are better at coping with the coronavirus. So here to confirm or deny that is the expert, the band's frontman, Spencer Charnas. Welcome, Spencer. How are you holding up?
I'm doing well, and I think that I can confirm that horror fans are just better equipped to handle, the apocalypse. Because I think we've lived it so many times in sort of a fantasy fictional level that the real thing just seems a little bit easier of a pill to swallow.
Love to hear it. So we're here to talk about the Undead and Unplugged live from the Overlook Hotel EP, which is now out everywhere. And just a little quick background, it's in celebration of The Shining turning 40. The Overlook Hotel, real name the Stanley Hotel, inspired Stephen King to write The Shining, for those who are unfamiliar. When the show was first put on your radar, and I know it took place in the middle of a tour, did you immediately know an EP would come of this?
I think that it was in the back of my mind because we obviously intentionally recorded audio and video of the performance, but I don't think we really knew how we would use it. And, I thought if this turned out really great and the acoustics were great and everything went to plan, that we would be able to put it out in some regard. But I was happy to see that it did turn out even better than we expected. So I'm excited that people are getting to hear it and not just the people that were in attendance that night.
I can almost picture you trying to shooting a mini documentary from the hotel. Did you not attempt something like that?
Well, we definitely got some great footage, that of which I think will be released at a later date. But we did a tour of the grounds. The hotel provides this sort of ghost story, and all the paranormal activity that has been documented at that hotel. So maybe we will see something in the future, but I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, sounds good. We'll talk a bit more about the hotel in a minute, but back to the music. It is acoustic versions of Savages, Thank God It's Friday, A Grave Mistake, Love Bites, and Enjoy Your Sleigh. Electrical amplification and Ice Nine Kills lyrics are a very natural fit. So why do you think these horror movie inspired lyrics still work so well acoustically?
I think that as long as the lyrics sort of do justice to the spirit of the film, I honestly think that they could be almost in any genre. But to me, these sort of almost, dare I say, folk acoustic renditions of these heavy metal songs, I think they carry with them kind of a dichotomy. Because some of the melodies in these songs are sweet, you know what I mean? They're very poppy, and I think the contrast of that with these dark lyrics that are oftentimes violent and vicious, I think provides sort of this really cool, almost tongue-in-cheek kind of vibe to a lot of the stuff. So I think that's why it works acoustically.
Agreed. I want to touch on the Silver Scream for just a second. That's the band's latest release. It was put out in 2018. Because you've been on the show before, but we didn't talk about Stanley Kubrick's grandson, Sam, providing guest vocals on the original version of Enjoy Your Sleigh. And since we're talking about The Shining, did you bombard him with 1,000 Stanley Kubrick questions?
I tried to play it cool. The interesting way that we met him is that we were on tour with a band of his called Shields. I want to say back in 2017. It was our first time in the UK, and we took out his band and became friendly with him. Had no idea there was any sort of relationship to Stanley, and he invited us over his house basically on an off day before a London show, and quickly thereafter we realized what a state we were at. And he was just very cool. We definitely asked him questions and spent some time looking through, Stanley's library and seeing some really cool memorabilia, screen use stuff from the films, the masks from Eyes Wide Shut. And when the time came to do a song about The Shining, I just thought, hey, we got to ask Sam to be part of this. He's got a great voice, and just that sort of connection to the original story, we would be remiss if we didn't try to include that. So it was a great time, and I'm glad that I didn't like fangirl about it too hard.
I know you were secretly in heaven, though. In your head, I know there was much joy dancing around there, I'm sure, while you're looking at all that stuff. It must have felt surreal to play Enjoy Your Sleigh in that venue. It's about the book. It's about the movie. It was the first time you ever played that acoustically. What was going through your head at that point?
Just as you said, it's one of those sort of full circle, surreal moments that you never think is going to really happen when you write a song like Enjoy Your Sleigh. You never think, oh man, one day I'm going to perform this where this story was birthed. So I think it was just one of those moments that you have to kind of step out of your body and say, wow, is this really happening? And, just be appreciative of these kind of cool things that a horror nerd like me gets to kind of live out these fantasies.
I want to paint the picture a little bit. I want to talk about the property for a bit. As you pulled up to, we'll call it the Overlook Hotel for this purpose, for this performance that is now an EP, what struck you most about the property and the energy?
Well, it was obviously just amazing to be there, no matter what the property had looked like. Whether he wrote it at a Motel 6, just the fact that Stephen King was there and this inspired arguably his most famous novel. It was just incredible. But beside that, the grounds and the actual structure of the hotel, which kind of is like, I want to say colonial era. I'm not an architecture expert, but that's the style that it looked like to me. And besides all that sort of horror and supernatural stuff, which is incredible to be around, as I approached the hotel, I was like, this hotel does look familiar, because this isn't the hotel that was actually used in the film. This is just what inspired the book. Mm-hmm. And then I began to look into it and found that another favorite film of mine has a connection to that hotel, and it couldn't be the furthest kind of movie away from The Shining. Actually, Dumb and Dumber was filmed at this hotel as well. So that was really cool to find out too, and kind of fits in the Ice Nine Kills theme that we love horror, but we love comedy, and we kind of fall somewhere in the middle of that. So I think it actually makes sense that those two films have that connection in an Ice Nine Kills manner of speaking.
It works. So there's like a real room 237 or 217, I guess, depending, right? You went to the actual room. Is it like a museum, a tourist attraction? What happens there?
Yeah, we unfortunately, no one can really go in it. And I think from what the staff of the hotel said, it's like booked like months and maybe years in advance because everyone wants to stay in room 217. And that was the room that Stephen King stayed in when he wrote the book. And it was changed to 237 in the film. From what I understand, it was due to a request from the Timberline Lodge, which was the hotel where they actually filmed the movie, in fear that no one would ever want to stay in whatever room they chose. So I don't think 237 exists at that particular hotel. But from what I understand, people who have stayed in 217 at the Stanley Hotel have had problems, including, to bring back the Dumb and Dumber part of the story, Jim Carrey, I guess, requested to stay in that room, and I think it was his first or second night in the room, and he burst out of the room in the middle of the night and demanded to be put off the property by the film company because something happened in the room. He claims that he doesn't want to talk about it.
Right. They say that the hotel is haunted. Did you experience anything?
I didn't experience anything, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. But, maybe next time. Hopefully the spirits will smile on me the next time I visit.
You're like the one guy who's inviting the ghosts to come. No, seriously, come. I want to see you, please, next time I visit.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Come stay in my room.
So, new-ish topic. What is your favorite pandemic, the world is going to end type movie?
Wow, that's difficult to say. I guess if you're sort of trying to look for a movie that mirrors what's going on, something like 28 Days Later feels particularly relevant, or even like going as far back as a film that clearly inspired that to some regard, Night of the Living Dead. But for me, horror films are always like an escape from reality. So I think my tendency isn't to want to watch something that's too close to home. So I usually go explore the other sort of subgenres of horror. But I will say, if you're looking for a movie to really sort of hit the nail on the head on what's going on here, I suggest the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. It's not a horror movie per se, but it's probably the closest film I've seen to sort of predicting something like this. So it's a great movie.
Well, what I was actually trying to get out of you, you went in the complete opposite direction. You basically said that you kind of don't like so much to deal with the reality. And I was wondering, maybe 28 days later or something along that line, whatever you listed, would make for a good follow-up to the Silver Scream. But it doesn't seem like that's where your head's at.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I think it seems like a clear choice, to write something that's similar to those kind of films. But as I said, I think that it might ruin some of what Ice Nine Kills is about, in the sense that you do go to us for an escape from what's going on in life. So I think if we wrote something too similar to like a pandemic situation, it's like, wow, this isn't fun. I get enough of this pandemic in my own everyday life.
I get that. There were a lot of Chucky recommendations. Chucky, maybe?
Oh, Chucky's fantastic. My favorite thing made out of plastic, so maybe we will see a Chucky song.
Good to know. Is there any timeline? I mean, a Silver Scream came out October 2018?
It will be 2 years in, let's see, about 6 months. So July, August, September. This October will be 2 years. Yeah. I think, with us, like so many bands and so many people in the music industry, we're still trying to figure out how to navigate and what would be best for a new album release. Is it best to release a whole new album and not be able to tour? Like it's such a big part of the excitement of what we do that I think we're still trying to wait out to see, what is the most realistic time for resuming of concerts as we know it. And you might have to wait a little longer to get the album, but I think it'll be worth it in terms of really giving the kids the experience of that live show that it deserves to be put out with.
All right, we'll wrap on this one, and it's along those lines. What are you hearing about the Five Finger Death Punch, Papa Roach, I Prevail, Ice Nine Kills rescheduled tour that's supposed to kick off in South Florida, of all places, in late September? It's pretty close, and Florida is not really looking so good. Is that still on?
Yeah, the last thing that I heard is that it was rescheduled for the fall, but I haven't gotten any official information as to whether it's being moved again. So I can't really comment on it further than that, except that I'm hoping that by some chance it does happen.
We all are. Fingers crossed. Many thanks to Spencer. The EP Undead and Unplugged, live from the Overlook Hotel, available everywhere for your listening pleasure. Till next time, Spencer, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.